and start recording. Good morning. Cool, that was loud. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday. Come on in. Anybody there apart from me? Come on, it's Kingfisher time. Welcome to the SHAC. It's 2 minutes to 10. I'm a little late to the party. It's snowing outside, really heavily. Well, no, it's calmed down now. Heavy. What's heavy? Ask an Eskimo what heavy snow is. But for us and for our little cats, they don't know what's hit them. It's all good. Come on in. Leave the umbrellas at the door. Mind the steps. They're going to be slippery. It's very cold, isn't it, for April? Unseasonably cold, don't you think? Anyway, come on in. It's nice and warm in here. Can everybody hear me okay? Paul's in the building with my good friends. So if you've got any questions or if you're looking for anything, ask Paul Churchy. He'll be able to help you. And other than that, yeah, there they all are. Good morning. What would we do without the SHAC, eh? I know. It's Monday morning. Up we get, clean the teeth, put the makeup on, put a reasonable top on, and get upstairs. It's great to have that routine. Hey. And so today we're looking at our Kingfishers again, day 3. So if you're new to the party and you're wondering what I'm talking about, there'll be 2 videos prior to this, all recorded on YouTube. There are loads of playlists, you can't miss us. SHAC. Safe, happy and creative. Stay home and craft. And that is what we are doing, isn't it? I said to Dave yesterday, everybody and their brother will be out tomorrow because, of course, all the non-essential shops are opening today. And then I looked out the window and I thought, maybe not. Not in this weather. Sunny but very cold in West Bromwich. Good. Lovely to have your company. Whoa, it went too fast. I couldn't even say hello. Good morning anyway. It's great to have your company. And so, let's have a look. What are we up to? Are you ready to rock and roll? Come on, my mat. It's like the Princess and the Pea I've been cutting. I wonder if I've got a better one than that. That'd be all right. It'd be all right. But it feels a little bit rough. I might have to treat myself to a new one. And then this gets relegated to the cutting mat, you see. I know what it was. It was because I was doing lino cuts on Saturday. I got carried away with my little lino blades. Right. Did you have a good weekend? Did you? Did you go out? I didn't leave the house. I didn't leave the area. No. Not even I didn't think we went for a walk. Did we go for we went for a walk. Up the woods. No. No, I was so caught up in crafting, you know. Lino cutting and pottery and terracotta. I made a right old mess. It was fabulous. Yeah. And so this morning we're back to the Kingfishers. Let's have a look. And if you're wondering where we get the postcards from, this is where we get the postcards from our postcard collection of Feathered Friends. And the Kingfishers, I mean, you might as well get all 3 if you haven't got them. The Kingfishers are in the blue one. In the blue box. And they're nice. So come like, look, see? Oh, good, I've got a spare one. Excellent. See, they come and they're connected, aren't they? I've got everything going on in this one. Yeah, but they're very nice line art. They're very nice line art, delicate line art. And then we here in the SHAC, we've been colouring them in, haven't we, for over a year. Look, so this is what we've been learning how to do. We've been using pergoliners or polychromos pencils. We did, these are nice, aren't they? Watercolour, the pergoliners, that's what we're going to do today. Look, there's my eagles. Amazing what you can do. Look, go from that to that. Eh? I know. Yeah, I think we've surprised ourselves a little bit in here, haven't we? That's lovely. That reminds me of France. Yeah. And so today we are on the Kingfishers. And I thought we could have a little bit of an experiment, you know, because it's not just about finishing a nice piece of artwork. I mean, look at me, sport for choice. I've got 3 bits going on here. Let me get my right glasses on and let's have a look. Because we were working. Are you ready to start? Are you ready to start? We were working with the B pencils, the blending pencils, weren't we, from the pergoliners, the B ones being the blending pencils that are not water soluble, and then vroom, down the other end of the same box we've got the A pencils, A for aqua, and so, you know, often we look at this box and we say, well, why have we got 2 sets in here? Well, originally, if I'm not mistaken, hang on, originally, obviously these are for parchment people, although we use them. I think they do a pretty good job on card as well. But you see, parchment doesn't like water. And so what Parchers originally did was they used the B pencils, which are like wax based. They've got like an oil in them, like a sealant. You know how when we rub them and then they go shiny and they seal? Well, so what Parchers used to do was they'd use the B pencils. You can use them on their own as well, but if you wanted to use them together, they'd put a layer down. They'd lay down a layer of the B pencil, that waxy seal. And then you could go back in with the watercolour and get beautiful, delicate watercolour like this, but it wouldn't buckle the parchment because you'd put a waterproofer down underneath it. So that's my understanding of how they work together, but they also work independently really, really nicely. Now the B pencils are the same type of pencil as our polychromos, our Faber-Castells that we use all the time. But at the end of the day, my friends, right, the SHAC is about hanging out together and keeping each other company and keeping each other sane, right? And a little bit of mental yoga. So it doesn't matter which pencils you use. Because I'm here Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays at 10 o'clock, and I feel we should use the opportunity, okay, to maybe learn a few things. That's all. It's not a masterclass. Look at me with my loo roll. It's not a masterclass. I've got to clean my glasses. I can't see a thing. But the point is that if we're here every day for an hour, every other day for an hour, and then pause with you on Groovy Tuesday at 10, right? Then why not learn a few little tricks and tips? I mean, let's face it, when we do our doodling, when we go to the black pens and pencils, you've got to admit our drawing's improved considerably over the year, isn't it? Effortlessly. That's the thing. It's effortless. It's like moving effortlessly towards... it's like moving effortlessly towards improvement or through improvement. You get better without even realising it, just because you're not worried about it. It's not an exam. There are no judges. Nobody's watching you. They're watching me. They're not watching you, you know. And so I thought today, now this is what we've got to decide, right? Because I'm sport for choice. I've obviously got 3. We did this much. And we used the B pencils, didn't we? Right, so this is the one I'm working on. So we used the B pencils. And then I said, right, so let's get up close so you can see this. So this is using the B pencils or the polychromos. Huh? Yeah. And you can see I've added a little bit. Do you remember we're going to add something to the party? I was saying about maybe learning how to use mica powders. Right, so we bought this one. A lot of us got this one, mica blue. Right, it's a perfect pearl. I'll show you how it works. All right, so this one is using the B pencils or the polychromos, and then if you look at the beak, you can see there's a little flash of that metallic, okay, and then his crown. Look at his crown, on his crown, right? You see the metallic that was added after the fact with this, so we could. That's one thing to look at. Now then, let's look at this little fella, which is what I wanted to show you today. Right? Because you might like to try this look. It's about trying. It's about trying things out. Now this look is using the A pencils, right? The aqua pencils, and then adding there. See, now there you can see the mica, the perfect pearls, the minerals. So it's just about showing you different tricks. Now if you want to finish your postcard. If you're one of those people that wants to finish it, beautiful, frame it, put it on the wall, yeah, then maybe you don't want to do one with watercolour and one with A pencils and one with B pencils. In which case, at this point, you just go back to where we were on Wednesday last week and just do the second bird in the picture with your B pencils. You know, if you've made a copy or you've got a second copy, maybe you want to try what I'm going to show you. Either way, I'm going to show you how to get this effect, how to get the different effect, and then it's up to you whether you put it in. Do you see? Some of you might go, well, yeah, I don't care if he looks like that and he looks like that. It's not that different. Look, they don't look that different. They still look like they're brother and sister, or brother and brother, don't they? And you like how little cats are like bookends. And do you know, with Ragnar and Eric now, before, I used to know it was Ragnar because he had more rings on his tail, like a raccoon, ginger Toms, yeah? Well, now, over the last 6 months, Eric's tail has developed more rings. I honestly don't know. The only way I can tell. And then I thought, oh, it doesn't matter, because Ragnar's a lot more affectionate and Eric's a little bit more standoffish. So if I pick him up and he wants to go away, then I know it's Eric. No, because now Eric's decided he loves me. So I can't tell. And Dave and I have these big debates because I've got one on my lap and I look at the tail and I think, none the wiser. And then I say, is this Eric or Ragnar? He says, it's Eric. I said, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And he's got one and I've got the other and we're both staring at them. They are identical, like bookends. I have no idea. And do you know what, in the end, now I stand outside and I don't know whether it's Ragnar outside in the snow or Eric. I don't think they know either. I don't think they speak English. I think they're Vikings. They certainly don't listen. They completely ignore me standing out there in the snow. So my guess is they haven't cracked the English language yet. They don't know what come in for crying out loud means yet. Okay. And so let's get started. Have you decided what you're going to do? I'm going to go with the A pencils now. Okay. I'm going to go with the A pencils and I'm going to colour that one in. This is giving you the theory. So if I use this postcard that I've already done one of them in, hang on, come on in. There we go. Move in a little closer, baby. Right, because this is quite nice. I like this look. I like this watery effect. I mean, you see? As opposed to the real look. Yay. Yeah. I like the blends of the colours. Different tricks. It's about trying different things out. So I'm going to use this one here. And what we'll do is we'll use the A pencils. So let's have a look. I've already got them out because I was looking at them earlier. So I've got A5, the blue, So it's a good idea, and A20, the yellow, because that's how I got that lovely green. Okay. So I've got A5 and A20, and then on the belly, I'm going to use a little bit of the A11 as well. That sounds like B-Rose, doesn't it? And then we're going to use our mix mat. Okay, dokie. Let's get our mix mat out so you can see what I'm up to. Because we need to add a little bit of water, don't we? So we're going to use our mix mat. Let's put a bit of copy paper underneath so that we can actually see what we're doing, shall we? Everybody happy? That'll do. There you go. You see, because I think it's good to experiment. And I think it's like I spent the whole weekend experimenting. I made you should have seen me with my terracotta. Like that, like a mud bath. It's good for your skin, apparently. Forgive the nails today. But the point I'm making is, when we stay with our hands, distraction, it helps you reframe your thinking, redirect your stinking thinking and all that good stuff, right? When you're take it to the next level, that is definitely true whenever you are with your hands, whatever you're doing, as long as you have to concentrate and focus on what you're doing, it will take you out of your head and get with your hands. If you start experimenting, in other words, the process is the absolute object of the exercise, then it's like it takes you to the, it's like yoga masterclass. It's taking you to the next level of focus, because like let's say with the pottery, let me analogize it. When I'm just using white stoneware, now I've learned over the last 2 years to throw white stoneware clay really quite well. I still have to concentrate, of course I do, but I'm used to it now. Same as with you when you're colouring in. You get used to things, don't you? You know, oh, press too hard, do this, do that. You start to work out different techniques. And when you then take another body, like another clay body, like I took terracotta on Saturday. Whoa! Game changer, totally different animal, right? And I was so absorbed and so concentrating so much on learning, right? I was completely oblivious to everything. It was that oblivion that I was looking for. I went in intentionally because I sought oblivion, and I found it. And at the end of it, I even had a few nice little pots to show for it. And and I was covered in clay, happy, The point I'm making is when you're experimenting and you're checking things out, it's like colouring by numbers and then throwing the colouring page away. Yeah, focuses the mind. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to focus the mind, and I'm going to get these 3 pencils out, and we'll do this on the mix mat. We'll just let's start with a bit of blue, and let's take a little bit of yellow as well. There we go. You'll soon know if you've picked up the right pens. I mean, obviously it says it up one end, A for aqua. If you do this with a B pencil, you'll soon realise you don't have to do it too often, that it doesn't move. It just does not shift at all. So I've got the blue. I've got watercolour pens. Here we go. I've got some watercolour pens. These are lovely. Right, I've got a couple. This will do. And I'm just going to drop some water in between the 2 colours, like this. There. And I want a really, really light wash. So I'm pulling a little bit of pigment in, like that, because I want a really light wash. It's what I would call a glaze. When you run it over your work, right? What the part that you want to put watercolour in, and then the other colours will sit in it. So, for example, if I want to put, let's do this bit first. Let's do the feathers. So if I come in here with the glaze, look, see, I'm adding water exactly to where. See how you just add a little bit of water. That's quite a lot, Bob. Where's that thing of mine, that loo roll thing? This will do. I just need to. It's a bit too wet. Right, that's the good thing is you just right, here we go again. So you can add a little bit of water. Let's just do the top side like that. Okay. Just a really light glaze. Okay. That'll do. It's like you're staining, but what you're also doing is, then if you go in, take a bit more blue now, take a little bit more blue. Let's go a bit darker so you'll see how it works. So you've made a kind of a little flood. If you drop a bit of blue in there, wherever you've put that glaze down now, see how it sort of spreads? It spreads, but it only spreads into the area that you've put the glaze down. It holds it in place. If you think you've put too much down, then take a bit of loo roll. Let's take a piece of loo roll, right? And you can always just hose it up. Just make a little. If you feel you've overcooked it, you can always just hose it up like that. Just pick it up again. It's fine. All the time it's wet, you can do that, or you can blot it. You don't want to over soak it though, because this isn't watercolour paper, right? But let's just get a little bit of blue going, like that. Let's just start. Come on. So we're adding a little bit of blue, a blue water. Let's call it blue water. I wonder if they're open. Blue Water's a huge shopping centre down near Dartford. I suppose it's the biggest one close to us here. So I guess non-essential, that'll be opening today. I'm not sure that I would want to go there, to be honest. It's very nice, like the West End come to London. It's like the West End come down to Kent, really. It's a very nice shopping centre. Don't get me wrong. It's nice, but I'm not in the mood for shopping centres right now. What about you? I get that we should be, trying to help the economy and all that, but I'd rather be colouring in. I'd rather be colouring in Kingfishers. Right, you see, and then you can move the shadow or whatever it is you're doing. See, all we're doing here is we're establishing a glaze. Say you were doing a flower or something, and you were doing a particular petal of a rose. Then what you would do is you would just lay down the water on that petal before you deal with that petal, and then you lay down the water on the next petal. So, and that way, wherever the water is, the rest of the colour that you introduce will only stay in that area. That's how it works. So we've got our blue wash, let's say. And now we've got that, what you'll find is the other colours, as you introduce them, let's take a bit of that blue and let's add a bit of the yellow now. So we've got a bit more of so you move it over. Even though you've only got, let's say, 20 watercolour pencils in this tin, you've got hundreds of different colours. You just have to blend them. That's what this blending mix mat is great for, see? So I can change the colour now. I've got a bit more of a turquoisey colour going on. So if I want to add a bit of turquoise, see, I can push that through there. Oh, what have I got on the end there? Right, and then I can just push a little bit of turquoise through there. There you go. That looks good. Add a bit of turquoise. And don't get too caught up in the lines, if you know what I mean. Don't worry about that. We can add the detail afterwards. We're just adding a bit of stain here, aren't we? Just a bit of depth, different colour. There you go. Let's just add a bit more in there. Try and get in that area there. See? And you can lay down the tip and it will go straight into that area. There you go. This is nice. See, so you pick up that turquoise. So now we're blending a couple of different colours. What's important as well is that you don't overwork the colours. So in other words, we're adding a little bit of teal now, right? And that will sit in there. That's good. What glasses have I got on here? Oh, my eyesight is really... I'm struggling with my eyesight. What about you? I'm going to have to come down a bit so I can get closer. Look. Up, too far away, down. Now I can see what I'm doing. I'm all over the place. It's rubbish, isn't it? Right. So we're just adding a little bit of stain, and my point is that we've started with this area because then we want to let it dry. That's the point. If you keep working and working and working on the same area, the paper starts to get saturated. So it's best to let it dry. If I want a bit more yellow, if I want a bit more of that, that's a little bit too limey. Go away, Barbara. Right, spread it out a bit. Spread the lime out. Right. Okay. Yeah, a bit too much there, Gray. That's all right though. It's a good undercolour. Have a look. Yeah, actually, that lime's not bad, is it? See, in these watercolour pencils, because I'm using a little one as well, not just little this way, but a little nib as well. You get all different ones, don't you? They've got big nibs. They're great. And Paul was showing us how they work on... that was very clever. Paul showed us how they work dry on parchment, which was rather clever. Don't even put water in the shaft. So Paul actually Paul, that's he who is in the room with you at the moment, he's doing the groovy Tuesday tomorrow, which is Tuesday. Yeah, I know. No flies on us, you know. He's doing Groovy Tuesday in the SHAC, 10 o'clock. So that's more for Parchers, isn't it? There. So now stop fiddling with it, Gray. That'll do as an undercut colour. You cool with that? Let's do the head. And to do the head, I've got an idea. Let's have a look. See, so I've got a bit of copy paper that I'm testing. I don't want it to be so dark to start with. So what we'll do is, we'll do a wash. Right, let me just make sure this is a nice wash and we've got the right colour. Right, here we go. So we'll do a wash with a really light blue. Let's just go for it. There. You got to admit, it's faster, isn't it, watercolour? There you go. So we've got our glaze down, like so. Right, and that needs to dry. Yeah, that'll work. Right. So we've got our undercoat down, if you like. I might do a little bit more limey colour up there. That's nice. Because the Kingfisher blue is this sort of a tealy blue as well, isn't it? Don't know, it depends, I suppose. I'm no Kingfisher expert. Right, that'll work. Okay. So we've got an undercoat, like we stained it lightly, haven't we? That's cool. That needs to dry though. That needs to dry and that needs to dry. So in the meantime, while that's dry, excuse me, let's look at this. So put that to one side and let's look at these. Have you got, I'm not going to use that one though. I think I've got another one. Oh, it doesn't matter. You can, I bet it doesn't make a blind bit of difference. Let's use this one then. I'm going to use the same brush as I use for my watercolour. So let me show you. I've got, I know this looks like a right mess, but I deliberately showed you what I've got working on because you wouldn't wipe it down. Look, see when on the mix mat, it's another mix mat. Use it, any plastic, any plastic will do the job. You need something that you can dilute the mica powders. Now, do you remember on on Friday I showed you that you can use them dry? You know, when I used the glue runner and then I put it on, so that works really well. Now, where did I put that? Let me just. I'm sure I had it here somewhere. Where did I put that? Okay. No. Ah, Barbara. I know that I had it because I did a sample with it, didn't I? And oh, it doesn't matter. Anyway, what I did was I took a piece of stencil card. I took a piece of stencil card and I took the glue runner. Look, I'm going to show you a different trick this time. Took the glue runner. Let me just get it started. I've been using mine so much. It needs to warm up. Right, here we go. Did I get that? Just about. Right, that'll do. So I was showing you how you can use the glue runner. That's rubbish, that one. Hang on a minute. Right. Start again, Gray. I'll show you. Sometimes it just needs to warm up before it depends what I've been using it on before. You know about going slowly? Right, here we go. Right, so go slowly. Let's take another piece of this. I'm going to show you two different things. If I go slowly along there, right, now I've got it. And then you flick at the end and you can see I've got the tape on there, right? So I can either apply tape with this And the other thing I was going to show you, this is using the mica powder dry, or I can take this little thin. Let me take a pair of scissors here, just show you. You can use 3mm tape. Sometimes when you want to frame something, you know, let me just show you. This is a nice way to do it as well. Like if I just pop that on there, it's just little tricks and tips really. Right, here we go. So the mica powder, or the perfect pearls, thing about this is it's got a built-in binder. This particular sort. There are different ones. They're like Pearlex, and then you need some kind of binder or sealant. Otherwise, it just keeps coming off on your hands. But the thing about this particular one is that it doesn't come off on your hands. It seals. So if, for example, I add a little bit of the powder to this area, to the sticky, you'll see that it sticks. If you, and I looked everywhere, but I think my talcum powder is down in the pottery studio at the moment because I was using it, right? If you want to keep this completely white and you don't want it to stain, like because it's got a built-in binder, as soon as I burnish this or rub this with a piece of tissue or a loo roll, right, this will stain as well, which is nice. But if you wanted it to be completely white, here we go, look, this is really controlled. Then you'd have to dust the whole piece of card with talc before you even put the adhesive down, you see. And then the talc would create a film, if you see what I mean. And then that stops the mica powder sitting on the white card, and then when you buff it, like now I'm going to do it with my loo roll, right? When you buff it with the tissue, it won't stain the white card. You see how it just gives you that kind of blue halo? If you want that to be completely white, then the trick is before you do any of this, brush the whole thing with a little bit of talc or an anti-static mat thing, you know, that anti-static pad. Most of us have got talc in the bathroom, haven't we? See, so you can see, you can make a really. Let me show you on the tight. So this is using it dry. Let it just set. Hang on a minute. It's not setting, is it? It's not focusing. Is that focused? Right, there you go. So you can see you've got it with the glue runner, really nice blue. And then if I turn it round, I've got it on the tape as well, really metallic finish. Okay, so this is just ways to get really nice edging. And if you're, and this is using it, now I'm using it, for example, dry. So if you wanted to mount it, you take a piece of copy paper and you could cut a piece of copy paper just like a half an inch bigger than the postcard, then run your glue runner around the side and then put your talc, not your talc, yeah, whatever, talc, put the mica powder around it like I've done there with the glue runner, and then you'll have the edge, but you won't have wasted all this area with, it's a great way to get a nice finish, okay? Probably nicer than going over the top of the artwork. Does that make sense? Well, it makes sense in my little head. Now, what I was looking at though today, that's what we did on Friday, and now we've used the 3mm tape as well. But what I was showing you on Friday was dry, and today we're going wet. So let's pretend, like, forget all this down here. I want to show you how, even though I've been using it, I can reactivate it. I'm not washing that off. Okay, so whether you're using a piece of acetate or a mix mat, whatever you're using, don't be thinking you've got to clean it all off every time. This is your palette then, or your tile, or yeah. And what we'll do is we'll take our brush, our wet brush, and let's just put a little bit. Watch, this is how you mix it up. So we'll put a little bit on here. There you go. Just scoop a little bit with your brush onto your mat. Can you see this okay? And then squeeze squeeze a little bit of water. And to start with, you can see there are little tiny pieces. Okay, they need to dissolve, and you just need to work them. See? So you just keep working them like you would any paste, or just get rid of the lumps. There you go. See, in the old days, we just used to, what I used to do, cheating now, but I'll show you. I used to go like that and then shake it like that so there was some in the lid. And then I'd add water to that in the lid, and that would be just enough to paint with. But we're going to use the mix mats. I don't want to be responsible for you hosing your work, your mica powder pot, and then having all that wet. But you can see, once you've got your mix here, same as I've got up there, now it's up to you how watery you make it. Just get rid of all the lumps, give it a couple of minutes, work it in nicely. Okay. Right. And what you'll find is, if you're working on like copy paper, you won't see the sheen. It's not instant because you're working on matte. You know, it's shiny because it's wet, but it's when it's dry is when you see the luster, the minerals start to get metallic. This is how to get a really nice metallic finish. Now, if you look even at the matte itself, let me see if I can show you. You can see where it's wet, but look where it's dry. Do you see, even on the matte, it changes when it's dry, and it changes on your artwork when it's dry as well. So that's worth bearing in mind. If we take this colour now, let's take this colour, and we're going to add what I did down here. I went down the lines and I added, make sure it's not too wet, because you can always add it, can't you? Get the right consistency as well, so it's not too watery and it's not too gloopy. That's nice. You'll soon know. And then what we're going to do is I know this is a bit pedantic. It's a bit thick. I think that's why it's taking me so long to do it. Add a bit more water. Have a look. Okay, that's better. You'll know when the consistency is right. Yeah, that's better. Right, and we're just going to add the shimmer to every other box. There you go. And don't worry if you go over the lines. That's not important. Just add a little bit of the mica powder to every other little box in his crest. And this should be dry by now. Yeah, it is. I waffled long enough to make it dry. Okay. And you see, the thing about it is, when you finish this, or when you've done this, then you can look at it and say, so I've learnt how to use mica powder wet. I've learnt how to use it dry as well. Do I like it? Well, it's got its merits. You know, you won't see it until it's dry. How can I apply this now in my art going forward? And therein lies the trick. This is just, this little kingfisher, this little fella, he's just a vehicle for you to learn how to apply. That's how I see this. That's exactly how I see this. This is not about the finished picture. This is a process, and we're figuring out the process, whether we like it or don't like it. See? And the other thing is that once this is set on the paper, you can run back over it and it sits. It's set. It's not going anywhere. But already, you see, even on the copy paper, once it dries with a beautiful kind of iridescent glisten, and that's the mica powders. And the blue one is a nice one for sky and for clouds, and and it's easy to kind of put it through its paces. And then down the road, maybe we'll get the gold one. That's lovely too, see? But for this particular bird, yeah, see, and when you'll see, I don't know if you, yeah, there you are. You see that beautiful glisten? It works straight away as soon as it starts to dry. And you can see where I thought it was a little bit thick. See how much glistenier it is? Is that a word? And the other thing is, of course, layers. You can add layers of it. So go again, add a bit more. It's always easier to add a bit of depth or a bit more. And it's okay also to flick, if you know what I mean. I'm just gently flicking. The thing about these paintbrushes as well is that they're so fine. See, I'm getting more of a feathery effect now by going back over, and I'm flicking into the light area. Here we go. Right, so I'm flicking just like we did with the pencils, except we're doing it with water. So but this is going to look so nice when it's, do you know, I've just had a thought. I wonder if you can mix just something for me to work out. I wonder if you can mix mica powder into clay. I don't know. I wonder what would happen. Is it worth trying? Of course it is. Just a little bit. I could wedge a little bit of clay, not terracotta because you wouldn't see it, but say some of the white stoneware, and I could just mix a little tiny bit in. So you do mix stain. I just did a load of mint into a piece of, you know, you can colour clay. I just wonder whether you can colour it with, I wonder if you can colour it with, what do you think? Nice, eh? So now we've got this going on. That's dry now. We've let that, now we let that dry. Now we go back to this. And I think that's the key with this game, is always make sure that it's dry before you go to the next thing. Let's try something else. So this is just pure mica powder. What about if I take my colours now and I add a bit of mica powder, because of course I've got the mica powder. You know that's glistening, don't you? You know that water has got mica powder. So if that's watery and that's watery, why won't that work? I bet it does. I bet now I've got a shimmer on my paint. You get it? So now I've picked up the mica powder from my solution here, dropping it down over this side. So now I know this is watercolour, aqua, but see, the trouble is until it dries you can't tell. Let's just do that, and then I can see later. It's like a test tile, isn't it? Right, let's have a look. Okay, bit of more of that yellow in there to make it a bit tealier. Right, let's have a go. Right, let's have a look. If we come in here now, and let's add a little bit of that. Right, there we go. Add a bit of that powdery, glisteny. I'm adding more and more. See, I'm just picking it up here and dropping it into the solution, the aqua solution, because I know that that's going to work. I've already tried it. Okay. And we like to, so that it looks a bit stained. We like that look, don't we? So I'm just going down one side of the feather like this, look, just a little bit. There you go. If you feel you've got too much on, you can always have a clean, look, take a clean brush and sweep up the other way. And if you're fast enough, you won't get that stain. But I'm all up for stains at the moment. I like that look. Okay, so let's just get some shade in. There we go. And we should get some nice glistening going on here, so that some of that iridescence will come through. You see it up there. See, as soon as it dries, It's one of those ones where you just got to keep the faith. Just know that it does work. Right, here we go. In we go into that shadow area. Into the shadow area, and then just come down one side. That's it. Watery. Where's my water? It's a bit shady. Yeah. And don't get hung up on the perfection of it all. I think sometimes we tend to think that it has to always be perfect. Do you know, on Saturday I was working on, it was the strangest experience. I decided, because I've been going on about it for so long, I thought, well, stop going on about it, just JFDI, just do it. And so I thought, right, I'm going to do some lino cutting. I'm going to learn how to do lino cutting and lino printing. And I said to myself, right, it's £1.75 for this piece of lino, and I'm going to donate £1.75 to the cause, right? And I got my gouging, my cutting tools, my speedball stuff. I've had all the gear. I googled it a little bit. I had a look. Have a look at my blog, and then I started. But I genuinely had no intention of creating a piece of artwork. I just wanted to see how the tool behaved, how you gouged, how deep you had to go, you know, keep your hands out of the way. I could see that this could go. I looked at one, it was quite funny, you know, because I do a lot of Googling YouTubes to check, look at the experts, look at the YouTubes. And and there was one that she was obviously it was more about selling the lino kit than it was about showing you how to use the lino kit, right? Priority. This is coming from somebody who can see a product pitch versus a technique pitch, right? And the clue was in the first line. She says, today I want to show you how to use this lino kit. And I thought, do you know what? I will move on. Lino. Yeah. So I thought that was highly amusing anyway. The point is, so I just, and this is what I'm saying to you, get a postcard, get the, you know, how often do people say, does this work if you dilute it? Or well, try it. Try it. Don't wait for me to tell you whether it works or not. Figure it out. And that's when you cross that art threshold. You really do, when you start to work it out for yourself. So I'd decided, right, like that sort of stuff. Does it work on so-and-so? Well, you work it out. Like I'm not going to Google, can I mix mica powder with clay? I'm going to mix mica powder with clay. And then I'll be able to tell you yes or no. No, don't do it. It will wreck your kiln, I'll say. It's all in the name of R&D. Anyway, back to this thing. Oh, come on, we can do this while I'm waffling. See if it's getting... Yes. See, it's starting to get the luster now. Oh. And that's the thing. The more diluted it is, see how the colours, this is what we're learning here, is how we can mix the powder, the mica powder, with water for first, and we get true blue, right? You can mix a solution of this blue with other blues, and you're adding the luster, not just the blue, but you're also adding that iridescence. Yeah. And of course it follows, the more you add, the darker it will get. But it's got to be dry yet. So, yeah, it's not dry yet. So that's why I'm waffling. So what I did was, I just said, right, I'm just going to gouge it, see what happens, cut this out, draw it, trace it, do all that. Googled a couple of experts, Googled a couple of that thought they were experts, and just figured out, you got to kind of pick the meat off the bones sometimes with all YouTubes, you know. They're just humans you know, telling you what they know, same as I am. That doesn't mean that they're the font of all knowledge, or they're that, you know, you'll soon know when you're, you know, when I'm looking at pottery, if his surname's Leach, then the chances are he knows what he's talking about, you know, because they come from a long, long line, grandfather down to great grandfather. You know, the leeches are usually, and they're like, they'll give you a little tip and they just sort of throw it out there. And it's like, you know, you catch it gratefully because they've been brought up as potters from, you know, boy to man. They are amazing, you know. I love watching the old John Leach, and fantastic, you know. Anyway, so I started experiment, and then I hit this wall, and I'll show you. Let me show you. I'll put it here somewhere. Here it is, right? So I hit this. It looks like a right shambles. Look, and you can see I was just cutting bits out, seeing how deep it had to go, how thin, how to get. It's called chatter when you get these lines in the background. How deep to go to get chatter or noise. Right, etc., etc., etc. And then when I'd hit it, the reason this is black and not grey, look, 175. Right, I've had this a while now. It's just grey lino. But the point was, then I was staring at it and I thought, well, I don't know, do I? Until I take it to the printing place and actually pull a print, I don't know whether I've gouged too much or taken too much off, or so I had to sort of go to the end to then go, that, you know, whatever happened. And I was so chuffed. I was so chuffed with the result. And it is totally primitive, totally like rubbish, really. Well, no, not rubbish. Put that in a gallery and say it's 2,000 quid. And people will go, really? It's amazing. It's like the emperor in his new clothes. Look, second generation ghost print. So maybe too much, an expert would probably say way too much ink, but I was just trying to figure out how much ink, you know, like, and then somewhere in between. And then I figured out how to get using a softer brayer, I was able to get the chatter. See, look, no chatter or noise. I couldn't get the lines where I'd scratched it. See the lines here? They weren't black because I was going over it with a really hard brayer, like rock hard. So then I got my old soft brayer out. I thought, then I could push a bit harder, and then I got the chatter. See, result, learning curve, massive learning curve. Did it work? Look. And then what happened was, I used way too much ink. Like, you need a pea amount, and I used a pot, like, on my glass mat. I had this ink, and I thought, oh no, I'm going to waste so much of this lino ink. And I thought, no, I'm not. I'm just going to cut up bits of copy paper and put as many prints as I've got ink. I just keep going and experimenting and learning and learning. And by the end, by the time I'd used all the ink that was on the glass mat, on the wrong side I used it as well. I should have used it on the green. Anyway, learning. I'd worked out how it works on card, how it works on stencil card. You know, I just kept putting it through its paces until I'd used all the ink up. I thought, why waste it, you know? And I was really chuffed with the end result. But more importantly, it motivated me enough that I can't wait till I've got more free time so I can have another go. And I don't know if you're like this, but in the night, I was lying in my bed early morning, you know, twilight, and I was thinking about this and what to do next and how that works, and you know, and this is a massive distraction because, again, it's that completely blank canvas, all the gear and no idea, you see. And straight away, my head is just full of ideas of really lovely stuff, you know. And then I watched some very talented people on YouTube, and I see what they do, and I soak up their knowledge, and, you know, and it's so wholesome. Yeah, so there you go. And all we're doing here in effect, is just working out a couple of tricks with mica powder, with a little pot of powder, and adding a bit of water or not, and how thick it has to be. And do you know what? If at the end this looks a bit ropey, does it matter? I mean, ropey, this is ropey. That's £1.75 worth of ropey, yeah? But, do you know what? Art for art's sake, my friends. Art for art's sake, you know? And it's the learning curve, and it's the getting control. I mean, I'm desperate to figure out how, you know, the cutting. And I'm thinking, are my tools good enough? And a slippery slope now. Are the speedball tools good enough? Do I really need a £50 Swiss ones? Not yet. Do you see what I mean? But I don't want to start. I know when I say, I don't want to start a new thing, if I'm still on pottery, I'm not going to give up pottery and start lino cutting. You know, it is possible to do more than one thing. You can do stamping and knit at the same, well, not at the same time, but there's no reason why you can't be a quilter and a stamper, is there? Don't you agree? What about you? Do you do more than one thing, or do you just stick to one? I think it's nice to have several skills because they overlap as well. Right, so what we're going to do now, right, I'm thinking. Right, I want to put a bit of the blue down across there so I get like a shadow here, see? Because it's a bit open there, isn't it? So I'm going to get some more of the blue. I'm not too worried about the pencil blue. I'm in with the mica now. Right, am I on the right side of the... Yeah. Right. And I've got plenty of mica up here if I want to reactivate. Look, you can reactivate it immediately. I could leave that there forever. So don't think for a minute that you've wasted it. If you, like I did with my print, with my lino print, I didn't realise how far it would go. Right, let's have a look. So I think I need a little bit more of that blue to do this. I want a bit more. Yeah. I want to really give it some depth there. See? So I'm going right in with that concentrated mica powder. It's experimenting, isn't it? And all this does, all this stuff, all this good, wholesome, safe, creative stuff does, is it redirects your focus. That's all it is, my friends. All the time you're thinking, well, that didn't, even if it didn't go right. I learn mostly when it goes peak tong, don't you? I find the learning curve for me is when it doesn't quite go the way it's supposed to. That's when I learn something. Like I learned something that you could learn in like a real gutty one. I spent weeks on it. I didn't even talk about it because I was so, oh, God. But I'm going to confess it to you now. So I did a load of pots and that. And I got impatient because I was getting cocky with the kiln, right? And so I threw a load of pots and bowls, really nice. And then I turned them. So that's another few hours invested, okay? And then I didn't wait for them to dry out. I didn't wait for them to dry out. I thought they looked dry enough. Even though there was a little cautious voice in my head saying, wait a week. You know you should wait a week. It should be bone dry. Bone dry. And I thought, no, I reckon it'll be all right. And so we did a layer of bone dry, another layer of bone dry. Then I had this layer that I hadn't waited long enough because I was impatient, right? And then another layer of bone dry. And when we opened the kiln, fine, shot to shit, fine. This layer here was completely shattered. It had just gone bang. So what did Barbara learn? She learned patience. Patience. Fortunately, at least I'd isolated it between the layers on the kiln, so it didn't blow everything else out at the same time. But I learnt a valuable lesson. I wasted about 12 hours on that little ledge of art, and I threw it all away. Every single one, without exception. So it's like, if you're going to learn a lesson, if you're going to learn something, there's the lesson. And I will never, ever do that again. Now, I know. See? And because it had gone right for me, every single time I'd put it in the kiln, I hadn't learned the lesson. Doesn't that look pretty? Doesn't that look lovely? Look, see? See the mica powder? Oh yeah, right. So then you can you pick up varying amounts. Yeah, I was very quiet that evening because I was annoyed with myself because I knew, but for some reason it's like, don't touch the wet paint, and you touch it anyway, and you know you shouldn't, and I blimmin' knew. But because I hadn't had that experience of blowing the lot, like literally, poof, right? It was like, right, okay, don't mess with the kiln. The kiln is master. And if the kiln says, you wait a week before you put a pot in me, then now Barbara knows to wait a week before you put a pot in her. Yeah. Work that one out. Learning curve. And now I'm glad that it happened. I wasn't glad at the time. I was not glad at the time. I was frustrated. But now I'm glad because I've learnt something really, really that I could have learnt in no other way. It's like Mark Twain said, swing a cat by the tail and you will learn something that you could learn in no other way. And that's it. Fill a kiln or a shelf of a kiln with leather hard clay, and you will learn something that you could learn in no other way. It even rhymes. See, now when that's dry now, because let's have a look up close and let's see if you can see the, yeah, look at that. See the, isn't it lovely? And you can colour it, is what I'm saying. Because look, if you look further down, it actually, it's great, isn't it? Nice, nice, nice. And when this is set, like dry, then what I'll do is I'll make a really, really light wash, but that's from the mica powder wash. Like I'll make a wash up here. I'll just squirt water into the remnants there until it's really, really light. But this has to be completely dry beforehand. And then I'll just go over the lot. And that was the other thing I wanted to show you. And then we'll finish. Hang on, let me get the one that I haven't done. That one. Right. So, for example, if you've done this, but you want to add some luster to it, well, this is the one that's the B pencil one or the polychromos one. You can take your mica powder. Let's just do his beak. Let's go down here. So you can take a wash of mica powder like this, diluted solution, and you can run it over the top of the sealed pencil. Just run it over the top. Play it safe. Go in an area that you wouldn't, don't do, like 1 pot I could have stomached, but 10 pots, and it's the same with this. Go in an area where you wouldn't be gutted if it looked like rubbish. There. And let it dry and then see how it works. See how much you need. It's impossible for me to tell you how much you need or what consistency. Only when you do it will you ever figure it out. Does that make sense? I can't believe it's already 11 o'clock. So what am I going to tell you before? There, see? And when that's dry, that beak will come out with the metallic on it. You see? There. So I've already added metallic to the bee pencil one as well. So cool. So lovely. So on Wednesday morning, we'll carry on. I think Wednesday what we ought to do is I'm going to spend a couple of hours finishing these guys, and I've got one watercolour one, and I'm going to do one of these as well. So I've got a pair, and then we'll go into the landscape in the background on Wednesday. Should we do that? And what did I want to tell you? Right, so this week, just heads up, today's still got the discount code day until midnight tonight. So if you are going to go shopping on our website, Paul will give you the link. You just need to put Alley Pally, ALLYPALLY 21. And if you spend 30 quid, you get 20% off, plus your discount. So that's worth knowing. Get Paul will give you that. And then the other thing to remember is tomorrow at 10 o'clock, it's Groovy Tuesday. That's Paul again. And then on Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock, we're doing our craft along. I don't want to drop this in the wet, but we're going to be using... Do you remember our lovely stamps that we had in celebration of a year from the SHAC? Home Sweet Home. And I'm going to be showing you how to make landscapes. And we've been sending out these two beautiful postcards that Dee did for us, haven't we? We've been sending you out the postcards. And I thought it would make sense if we actually stick and we learn how to build these two landscapes, because then you've probably got at least one of the patterns, if you like, or the templates at home in the form of a postcard. Because we send out those lovely pinky grey postcards, don't we? Remember? So on Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock, that's what we'll start looking at. I'm going to show you how to build landscapes with those lovely stamps. And if you've ordered them, we're prioritising, we're getting them out to you as soon as possible this weekend. If you order them today, we will, Paul, let's make sure that they get there for Wednesday. And if they don't, we'll just have another craft along session. Wednesday evening seemed to be a good idea. And I think that's all I wanted to tell you. Yeah, I think that's it. Let me just check. Yes. Tuesday Groovy, Wednesday 7 p.m. And don't forget to use the discount code. There you go. Thanks very much for joining me, Paul. Thank you for all your help. And I shall see you. My next session with you is Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Stay safe, happy and creative. Go on, go and make something. Bye-bye now.